But let's bring you the big breaking news, and it's coming from the world of cricket, where the ball-tampering controversy is getting bigger by the moment. Now Australian vice-captain David Warner has also been asked to step aside from the next test match against South Africa that starts on Friday. Reports now suggesting that Warner was the chief conspirator in the ball-tampering controversy that has rocked Australian cricket. Cricket Australia has reportedly already spoken to Warner, Smith, Bancroft and coach, and there are reports emerging that both Smith and Warner could face lengthy bans up to 1 year. That's the big story that's coming out at the moment in the ball tampering case. Our consulting sports editor Boria Majumdar is joining us now from Kolkata. Boria, what are you picking up? Is there a real possibility now of Steve Smith and David Warner being given bans up to a year?
Yeah, it's very likely. In fact, let me just give you the sequence of events. Today, 3 meetings happened in South Africa. The last one got over exactly about 25 to 30 minutes back. The first one was around 3 o'clock. Between 3 and 5:30, Stephen Smith met Ian Roy, the integrity officer of the Australian Cricket Board, along with the ICC ACSU officials. They were also present. One by one, the players were being called, i.e. David Warner, Stephen Smith, Darren Lehmann. They were taking, the Cricket Australia integrity officer, speaking to each of them individually, trying to understand the sequence of events, piecing together the puzzle. But what I'm getting is simple. Stephen Smith, absolutely done deal, there is a ban. How long that ban is, question. David Warner, for sure, means, he will not play the next test match. There will be a sanction. The chance of a ban is pretty much there. How long the ban is, it will be less than Stephen Smith. And Darren Lehmann, the coach, who so far has escaped the radar, will also be brought into the fold, because if you know the size of the dressing room in Cape Town, it is the size of a sedan car. So it's not even big enough for one person to speak. So Darren Lehmann, from what I'm getting from my sources in South Africa and Australia, is also a done deal.
Okay, so that's pretty major. The Australian coach could be out. The captain could be facing a 1-year ban possibly, and so could the vice-captain. Boria Majumdar joining us with the very latest there from Kolkata. Now, this is a controversy that has sparked outrage across every cricket-playing nation and among fans. But the question is, did the ICC let off Australian captain Steve Smith lightly with just a 1-test suspension? Smith, who was forced to step down after admitting to ball tampering, will be out of the next test against South Africa. But the man who was caught tampering with the ball, Bancroft, has been handed just a fine of 75% of his match fee. Smith has now been forced to step down as captain of IPL team Rajasthan Royals, which will now be led by Ajinkya Rahane. The question is, could the ICC have acted more severely against what is seen as an act of pure cheating? Take a look.
Cricket fans across the world are in outrage. The cheatgate that has rocked the world cricket and Australia in particular has left Smith and David Warner among other senior members at crossroads of their careers. Cameron Bancroft was caught red-handed tampering with the ball in the Cape Town test, but it now emerges that he is a habitual offender.
If it was the leadership group that hatched this plot, well, you've got to assume that the next potential leader is amongst that leadership group.
The orchestra which was behind this, and the way it has happened, and the way it was hidden immediately when the camera was on, actually will leave a very bad taste for everyone who's seen it. For cricketers, for administrators, and for viewers, and for the mass. And with so much of television, I really found the Australian team management very, very stupid to even think of doing this.
During the Ashes, the Aussie opener was found spooning sugar in his pocket, raising doubts over his and his Australian team's integrity to play the sport in its true spirit. There's a public outcry in Australia and around the world which forced Smith and Warner to stand down from their positions as captain and vice-captain.
Okay, yeah, it's a bit of a disgrace. I mean, you beat us 4-0 in the Ashes. You're probably the best cricket team in the world. So why have you got to tamper with the ball? Especially against a team such as South Africa, who, let's face it, they're not really that good anymore, are they? So I just think it's a bit of an embarrassment to not just Steve Smith, but the whole of Australia.
Cricket Australia has already initiated an inquiry into the incident with a 2-member committee looking into the entire scandal. The ICC may have let off Smith with just a 1-test ban, but his professional career along with Warner is now in serious danger.
Here you have all the evidence and everything in place, but you get 1 test match ban. And of course, guy who is doing what he shouldn't be doing, he's getting away with 75% of his match fees. That's it.
Smith has already lost his IPL captaincy with Rajasthan Royals in the aftermath of the entire controversy, and Warner, who led Sunrisers Hyderabad to the IPL title in 2016, could well follow suit. The findings of the probe launched by Cricket Australia are expected to be out by Wednesday. Rajasthan Royals and Sunrisers Hyderabad, the two franchisees with which Warner and Smith are associated, could well offload the two senior players from their roster this season once Cricket Australia pronounces its verdict. Perhaps the darkest days in Australian cricket's history, and Steve Smith cannot blame anyone but himself and his coterie of cheaters. Sports Bureau, India Today.
Let's ask some big and troubling questions tonight at the very top. Do the Anglo-Saxon nations get off lightly? Countries like Australia get off lightly? Will a ban be too harsh, or is it the right punishment? Were Australians involved in ball tampering in the past too? Should IPL also now punish Smith and co to set an example by removing them from the IPL? Or do all teams indulge in ball tampering? Just some of the questions that we will raise. I'm joined by two legends of the game. In the studios is the one and only Bishan Singh Bedi, who raised the flag against ball tampering all those years ago in 1977. For those you with long memories on the Vaseline controversy then. And Saurav Ganguly, the former India captain. Two former India captains. We'll also have Harbhajan Singh, who I spoke to earlier, telling us why he's so angry about this decision. But first to you, Saurav Ganguly. Your views on what has happened. Do you believe that the Australians have been let off lightly? Do you believe there should be longer bans they should serve?
I think ICC has taken just a precedence, because if you remember, Faf du Plessis from South Africa was also handed a similar sort of suspension and similar sort of ban and fine a couple of years ago when he did that same thing in South Africa. You know, there have been players in the past who've done that and have got the same sort of suspension. So ICC actually has just gone by what they have done before. Yes, in the future they must look at it a lot more seriously, and probably the suspension should be the punishment should be a lot more, because you know what has stood out is the way it was done. I know it's not as dangerous or as bad as a match fixing or a betting, but you know, the entire thing, which was the way it came out on TV, did not show the cricket in good light. It was very poor when you watched it, and I think these cricketers are role models. You know, they are watched by children all around the world, kids all around the world. Stephen Smith, such a champion, and for a small mistake, look what he's going through.
You know, a small mistake is how Saurav sees it. You see it very differently, right? You believe that there should be a ban that stretches possibly into a year, or do you go by the ICC, which has given them a one-match ban? Do you believe they should get, Mr. Bedi, a longer ban just to set an example today? Is it a small mistake in the first place?
Small mistake? You must be joking. It's well planned, where the senior guys were all involved. Just imagine if had this happened to the Pakistan team.
What would
How
have
many
happened?
of them? They would have been banned for life.
No, are you saying double standards?
No, I'm telling you that Pakistani boys, after the Lord's Test match, 3 of them were banned. One of them was young enough to return after 5 years.
No, but that was spot fixing.
Listen,
Spot fixing, that was match fixing. This is ball tampering.
No, all right, you want to have different, is it some kind of a pickpocket, or is it a murder, or is it a rape? What are we talking about?
You have a different punishment for a pickpocket to a murder to
That's what I mean. This is murder of the game. We're all trying.
This is murder of the game.
It is. We're trying to save Test cricket because T20 is taken over, and everybody's talking about the future of Test cricket. And if Test cricketers are going to do this,
you think it was premeditated, it was planned, and it is, for you it is cheating. Plain
massive,
and simple cheating.
Massive cheating, massive.
Did this happen in the past or only now? You raised the flag in 77 when John Lever used Vaseline. Do you believe this has been happening over the years? Only this time they got caught with their hands in the cookie jar because a cameraman spotted them.
Yeah, there are 40 odd cameras on the field. You can't take a chance like that.
Has it been happening in the past, you think?
No, it wasn't. Well, it might have been happening, but this is the first time they have been caught red-handed. They can't run away from it. And they've accepted, they've acknowledged that they had planned it.
So to that extent, it's an open and shut case as far as...
Look, I was a great fan of Steve Smith until day before yesterday. And I feel cheated. My following of Steve Smith has been ruined, absolutely.
Would you ban him therefore for life?
I would stop him.
For life?
From all cricket.
For life?
For life, yes.
Saurabh Ganguly, Bishan Singh Bedi says ban Steve Smith if necessary and possibly all those others who are involved in this for life. Maybe some will see this as excessive, but can it really be seen as a small mistake? Has this been happening, as I said, in the past? Only this time the Australians got caught.
Firstly, a big good evening to Bishan Paji, and I just feel, or I just want to tell him, probably life ban is a bit too harsh, and I don't think you can compare that with fixing or betting, and probably it could have been the ban could have been a bit longer, but to make a life ban, I think it would be a bit harsh on Steve Smith, and he stepped down from captain of Rajasthan Royals because he understands what has happened and he understands what's happening back in Australia, and he will probably get a stronger punishment from his home country, and we might see some stricter punishments in a couple of days' time. But I think I wouldn't agree with the life ban because I don't think it can be compared with match fixing or betting, and that's my opinion. I respect Bishan Paji's opinion, and this is my opinion.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, I look at it this way: anybody who harms cricket harms me. Okay, and I'm not going to accept this. Honestly, I am so annoyed for the last 2-3 days. Oh, my brain has been.
So as I said, you're not willing to grade this between match fixing and ball tampering. You say it is both are murder, both involve the murdering of the game which you've loved.
Yes.
And somewhere give the public out there a belief that cricketers have been cheating us.
Of course, and the impression which I got from the mail I have received from a very dear friend who lives in Sydney. He's in Bombay right now. And he says that Australian followers are wearing South African supporters' attire to go back home.
No, but hold on. For the longest time, the Australians have said winning is everything.
Winning, yes. Winning is everything. The modern motivational gurus, they all emphasize winning is the only thing. Not everything, the only thing. Okay? By hook or by crook, at any cost? No. Win by all means, by using fair aspects of the game, the laws of the game, not to defy them. I've seen this happen quite a lot of times, and it hurts me even more that this is happening today when Test cricket, the future of Test cricket is at stake.
Isn't that the worry, Saurabh Ganguly? You made the point. These are supposed to be role models. Steve Smith is possibly was being likened at one stage to the next Don Bradman for the manner in which he was scoring runs. What motivates, you think, a cricketer to do what he did? He said at the press conference they were desperate to win. Is it about winning at all costs? Is that what the modern game has become? Just win at all costs, forget about the means, only the ends matter? Did you see that happening when you were playing? You were part of that 2008 Test match when Anil Kumble famously said against Australia, there are 2 teams playing, but only one is playing within the spirit of the game. Have the Australians been repeated serial offenders?
Your first question first. I don't think it is the question of winning at all costs. That's not right, and that should not happen in sport. And probably this time it was about winning at all cost. Coming back to 2008, yes, I agree with Anil. There was one side playing. And in the spirit of the game, and we saw that. If you remember, I was batting on 60 odd, and Ricky Ponting got me out one bounce, and India went on to lose the Test match on day 5 after tea. I got out after tea, and the Test match was different. Yes, that was different. If Mr. Beatty would remember, there was an underarm delivery bowled in Melbourne in 1981 against New Zealand. There was Mr. Gavaskar's ball hitting the pad, and he was being sent off by a great fast bowler. So that's the way Australia.
And the way, during my playing area.
Right. I'll come back to you. The frame has freezed in a moment, but I want you all to listen to another, Harbhajan Singh, who I spoke to earlier, because he's come out very strongly in tweets. And Harbhajan was, when I asked him that your tweets yesterday, you were very angry with the ICC. You think that both Smith and Bancroft were let off very lightly. You seem to believe they should get much harsher punishment. Why are you so angry? Harbhajan Singh ko gussa kyun aa raha hai?
Yes, I do believe so, because why I tweeted was because I have been part of some of these incidents, where I was dragged into it, and of course without any investigation or without any proof, I was given 3-match ban, and whereas they have got everything against these 2 players or the whole management, but they have been given very less punishment for the same thing. So of course, I am a bit upset with the ICC for letting them off for such incident, which is seen by the whole world.
What would you have recommended, Harbhajan? 1 year, 2 years, lifetime ban? What would you want to see today to Steve Smith, David Warner, and indeed the coach or anyone involved with Australian cricket who was actually involved in this incident?
No, not life ban, not 6 months back, but this is a bit too harsh. I think you can't just let go people like who's actually scrubbing the ball and you let him go with 75% of his match fees. At least there has to be 1 or 2 games or 3 games, whatever is there in the law to change the course of the game. They should get that, and you just can't ban your captain, but at least a guy who was actually doing it, he should also be banned for few games, whether it's 1 game or 2 games or whatsoever, but they can't just let them go off like that.
Okay, let me...
But ban, no. 6 months, no. At least whatever, 2-3 games, whatever.
Let's get this straight. Somewhere is there discriminatory treatment? You said if the Pakistanis were involved in something like this, they'd be banned for much longer period. Is there a discrimination between the white person and others? When you raised your flag against John Lever in 1977, you lost your county contract for calling him a cheat. In those days, unfortunately, there weren't television cameras to capture the cheating. But you were the one who was punished. Do you believe there's a difference between the way brown people are treated and Anglo-Saxons are treated?
Hang on. I don't wish to dig graves right now.
Yes.
What happened way back in 77 with Bishan Bedi, let it remain there.
Yes.
But I wouldn't like to think that I was made a scapegoat by a white organization. My own board let me down then.
The BCCI in those days.
They didn't back me up. You see, at that time it was Imperial Cricket Conference, don't forget, and England and Australia had the right of veto, and BCCI officials were mere crumb pickers then. Let me show you that.
But even today, if you remember, Saurabh, last year during the DRS review, when Steve Smith said he had a brain fade, when he asked the dressing room whether he should review a DRS decision or not, Harbhajan Singh got a 3-match ban. In Australia, the Australian players seem to get off lightly. Indian players, you were the captain, I think then, were banned for excessive appealing. Are there double standards in the ICC, Saurabh Ganguly, when it comes to Indians and Pakistanis and Sri Lankans versus the countries of the Anglo-Saxon world?
It was a lot more before. I think it has reduced over the years because of India's power in the ICC, India's monetary power in the ICC. I agree with Bishan Bedi that Australia and England had the veto, and India changed it around in the last 15-20 years, starting from Mr. Dalmia and Mr. Srinivasan, Mr. Manohar. India have changed that around. But I would still say that sometimes the match referees were a little tough on Indian players. I remember Harbhajan Singh's bowling action. Every time Stuart Broad used to be, or Chris Broad used to be match referee, we used to tremble because it was the only match referee who was pretty tough on him. The rest allowed him to bowl. So yes, I would say at times they were tough, but things have changed over the years.
Things have changed over the years, but I'm just wondering, therefore, what is it that is driving cricketers now to almost stretch the fine line that exists between what is gamesmanship and pure cheating?
Money.
You believe it's money?
Money and more money.
Why does Steve Smith and David Warner need money? Bishan Singh Bedi, they get multi-crore IPL contracts.
Exactly
They are the highest paid Australian cricketers.
The more you have, the more you want. It's ICC, right? This ranking business, which #1 team at the end of the year get, you know what the kind of money they get? Millions of dollars. So this is what transpires into.
Is it about money or the desperation to win a match at all costs?
It is, well,
because Australia
winning, as I said,
there had been so much of abuse, so much of slander between these two teams. Things had gone to a point where the Australians were desperate to win.
Well, desperate to win, fair enough, but desperate to win a lot of money along with it. And now this kind of strategy which was formulated, it was not purely to win. It's the money at stake as well. Let's not forget it. And let me, if I may remind you,
yes,
Sir Donald Bradman played all his cricket as an amateur. Did you know that? I once asked him, why didn't you ever turn a professional? And you tell me, was there a greater professional than Sir Donald Bradman? And he said he didn't want to miss out on the fun of the game, he told me. And the line which he mentioned subsequently was, he said, professionalism in any walk of life brings about a fair, mean streak in you. And this is the meanest possible streak Steve Smith could have shown.
Is it money, Saurav Ganguly, that is driving these cricketers to stretch the line between gamesmanship and cheating? Is it just that the sport has become so competitive that everyone now has to stretch that line to somehow or the other win a match?
Well, Stephen Smith did not have to do that, and I think it's a bit more of a stupidity, bit more of pressure, and actually I feel he actually has got a brain fade. I thought he was just saying for the heck of saying last time when he came to India, but after this incident, I think he's actually got a brain fade because Steve Smith makes enough money, the Australian cricketers make enough money, David Warner makes enough money, and then it's a world of professionalism. You know, Mr. Bedi spoke about how in the eras of Don Bradman, there was no money and he didn't want to be a professional, but times have changed. You give so much time to a certain thing, and you cannot just go unpaid because it's your life and you play the best part of your life as a cricketer. I wish someone like Bishan Bedi made a lot more with all the talent he had and all what he had done for Indian cricket. So because it's your life and you at the end of the day you have to have a good living and survive. So I'm not too worried about professionalism, and I've got no problems with that. But I thought what Steve Smith did, or David Warner did, or Darren Lehman did, or Bancroft did was absolutely stupid.
Okay, so you're calling it stupidity above it all. I'll give you a final word, Bishan Paji, as sort of the figure who's the ultimate cricket romantic. Was it stupidity? Was it people? Did they really think they could get away with so many cameras there? Was it stupidity therefore? Or was it, as some people are calling it, little more than orchestrated cheating by people who believed that that is the only way to play the game? If I can't win it by fair means, I will win it by foul.
I think that is the right way to accept it, that they were using terribly, terribly foul means to achieve what they wanted to. And why do we say this is not cricket? I've often said this.
Yes. We don't say this is not hockey, this is not football. Yeah. We say this is not cricket.
Because cricket is directly linked with uprightness, honesty and integrity.
Should we now have straight red cards during the match, remove them? Do we need to make it stricter?
That is what things are coming to now. And red cards or yellow cards. I don't think the game will ever remain the same.
You don't think the game will
No,
ever remain
no,
the same?
no.
You fear that this will actually become more and more rampant?
This is been the final straw to my mind. And if ICC doesn't take notice of it now, and if some of the guys like Saurav Ganguly and Bhajan Singh are softening up on their stance, right?
Yes.
I don't think there is any need. Look, the jails all over the world are bursting at the seams. Crime hasn't decreased in any way. So at least on the cricket field, let's all owe it to the game itself. That look, this game has to be played fairly and squarely.
Okay. Fine words. It's not cricket. That's the last word, in a sense, from Bishan Paji here. My take. The ball tampering controversy has once again cast a shadow over cricket's moral fibre. Using sandpaper to change a cricket ball may not quite be match fixing, but does amount to cheating. Which is why exemplary punishment needs to be meted out to Steve Smith, David Warner and the leadership group in Australian cricket. That punishment could be as stiff as a one-year ban, excessive perhaps, but also necessary, if only to send out a tough message. Like football with its red cards, cricket too needs to wake up to an ugly reality. The game is now played not just to win, but to win at all costs. In the process, the sport has become prone to abuse. Yes, other countries also possibly resort to ball tampering, but that can be no excuse. When you are caught with your hands in the cookie jar, or in this case in your pocket, then you must pay the price. But while Australian cricket lies in disgrace, let's ask ourselves is what is true of the sport is a mirror of life itself. Isn't it true that a maddeningly competitive world pushes more and more good people to look for shortcuts in their push for success? When ends matter more than the means, then not just cricket, but every field of human endeavor gets corrupted. Our cricketers are heroes, role models for millions. Truth is, they too have feet of clay. And so do many other celebrities who we tend to put on a pedestal.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you would love to.